Good evening, everyone. I am Joyce DeCosta, and on behalf of Home First Finance Company, I would like to welcome you to today's workshop on inclusive housing, the role of private sector in affordable housing. Home First is a new age housing finance company providing home loans to middle income aspiring individuals. We are adopting the latest technologies to acquire customers, process loans, evaluate applications, and constantly find newer ways to provide exceptional service to affordable housing finance customers. In association with the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, we have gathered here today to discuss the role of private sector in the affordable housing space. Did you know that the demand generated per year in the affordable space is 1.85 million units? And it's almost a 12 trillion rupee market. The major driving force here is urbanization and nuclearization. As a result of this, the housing finance market has also grown at a CAGR of 18%. The importance of affordable housing is neatly captured in the following statement by Rakesh Mohan, the former Deputy Governor of RBI, who said, "Future national competitiveness and economic success will depend on the comparative efficiency of cities because housing is where jobs go to sleep at night. The quantity, quality, availability, and affordability of housing becomes a key component in the national economic competitiveness. Affordable housing has already taken a center stage in contributing to 60% of the housing finance market. The government has taken initiatives at every level to provide access to housing for all. In one of the most popular schemes is the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Credit Linked Subsidy Scheme, CLSS as we call it. Let us have a look at a short video that will help you understand this a little better.
तक इस देश में कोई गरीब बिना घर के न रहे।
माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी के सबके लिए आवास के संकल्प को सिद्धि तक पहुंचाने के उद्देश्य से जून 2015 में शुरू की गई प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना शहरी अपने कार्यान्वयन के 6 वर्षों में लाखों परिवारों को सभी बुनियादी सुविधाओं सहित घर प्रदान कर उनके चेहरों पर मुस्कान लाने में सफल रही है।
प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना के तहत घर मिलने के बाद गृह प्रवेश के आयोजन में कितने ही निमंत्रण मुझे हमारे देशवासियों की ओर से लगातार मिलते रहते हैं। आप सबकी ऐसी करोड़ों खुशियों में मैं शामिल हुआ हूं।
इस योजना ने समाज के विभिन्न वर्गों के लाभार्थियों, विशेषकर महिलाओं को सुरक्षित एवं गरिमापूर्ण जीवन प्रदान करने के साथ ही देश की अर्थव्यवस्था में महत्वपूर्ण योगदान दिया है। प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना शहरी में 6 साल में स्वीकृत 1 करोड़ 12 लाख आवास पिछली योजना में स्वीकृत आवासों की तुलना में 8 गुना से अधिक है। इस अद्भुत सफलता में सरकार द्वारा अपनाई गई प्रभावी रणनीतियों का विशेष योगदान रहा है।
जीएचटीसी इंडिया एक ऐसा प्लेटफॉर्म है जिसके जरिए भारत का कंस्ट्रक्शन सेक्टर इकोसिस्टम इंटरनेशनल लेवल का बन सकता है।
6 राज्यों में बन रहे लाइट हाउस प्रोजेक्ट्स प्रकाश स्तंभ के रूप में देश के निर्माण क्षेत्र को नई दिशा प्रदान कर रहे हैं। शहरी प्रवासियों व गरीबों को अफोर्डेबल रेंटल हाउसिंग कॉम्प्लेक्स के माध्यम से उनके कार्यस्थल के पास किफायती किराए पर आवास देकर उन्हें गरिमापूर्ण जीवन प्रदान किया जा रहा है। आइए हम सब मिलकर एक नए भारत के निर्माण में अपना योगदान देने का संकल्प लें।
has been a boon to the aspiring Indian class, and Home First is proud to have been an early adopter of the same. And we are proud to say that with the help of this scheme, we have helped make more than 26,000 families proud homeowners today. Let's hear what our customers have to say about the same.
एचएमसी के बारे में मुझे एक कॉल आया था कि हमने सब्सिडी मिल गई है।
मेरे को पूरा विश्वास नहीं हुआ था कि मेरा आएगा कि नहीं आएगा,
लेकिन हमारे लिए अच्छी बात कि बहुत जल्दी आ गए, 4 महीने से अंदर अंदर में आ गए।
तो हमने सोचा चलो कोई बात नहीं, इसमें सब्सिडी मिलते हैं तो हमारे फायदे में है।
2,20,000 की सब्सिडी मिली है। बच्चा छोटा है, उसके भविष्य में लगाया गया था।
सर्विस મને સારું લાગ્યું છે
કે હોમ જે ફાઇનાન્સર છે બરાબર, એના માટે હું શુક્રિયા કહું છું બરાબર। આના માટે મારો હપ્તો પણ ઓછો થઈ જાય અને મારી છોકરી માટે પણ કામ આવશે।
मुझे 2 लाख की सब्सिडी मिली है, इसलिए हमारे हफ्ता में राहत हुई, इसलिए थैंक यू
होम फर्स्ट कंपनी।
We are honored. We are honored today to be joined by some of the most respected names in the industry as we get ready to discuss the role of the private sector in affordable housing. So, without further ado, allow me to introduce our panelists for the event. We have with us Mr. Abhishek Bhatkul. Mr. Bhatkul, who is the Vice President, Sales and Marketing for Joyville Shapurji Housing, he looks after business strategy and driving sales across markets. He has more than 18 years of experience in real estate, banking, retail, and financial industry. Mr. Bhatkul, can you please tell us a little about yourself and your experience with affordable housing?
Thank you, Joyce, and good evening to all of you. I think let me first congratulate the Ministry of Housing and our Prime Minister for this one of the most probably successful schemes ever by any union government, the credit link subsidy scheme, in terms of the thought process, in terms of the execution. About me, Joyce, you mentioned about the various sectors I work for. So I started off with banking, insurance, and my first stint with real estate was when I was a distributor with Capital First. Capital First has now become a bank. It's IDFC First Bank, and that point of time it used to be part of the Future Group, and we used to kind of promote real estate through big bazaars. And the format of big bazaars is such that while we were having in our portfolio very limited projects, but the kind of inquiries we used to get from there used to kind of sometimes amaze me, the kind of demand which exists in this market. And that's what that was my first experience with the fact that affordable housing really is a big need of the hour. After that, I got an opportunity to work with VBHC. It's into a company, Value Budget and Housing Corporation, a company into affordable housing, and a company which is doing a very good job in terms of giving quality homes into affordable housing. I feel that affordable word sometimes has been tagged to low cost or to inferior quality, whereas I think there are a lot of players in the market who ensure that they are able to deliver an affordable product but with very good quality. Post that, I've worked with Mahindra Happiness. Again, it's a segment of Mahindra Life Spaces dedicated into the affordable housing space. And currently, as you mentioned, I am into aspirational housing or mid-segment housing space called Joyville by Shapurji Palunji, where we have got international investors like IFC, which is part of the World Bank, Asian Development Bank, and Actis. And from my experience, I can share with you that there is a huge demand, as you already mentioned, of not just people who want to upgrade themselves in their existing homes. They need funds to kind of develop one more room as their families expand. But there is a huge demand for first home buyers, as we already know that India is India is the youngest nation with so many young people like you. And we have seen that post COVID there's a trend of people buying homes even at an earlier stage. We have seen a demography movement from which earlier used to be about 45, 50 years, now moving down to let's say 35 or even 30 to 35 years of age. And that's something which is very, very encouraging. And with low home loan rates, with facilities which Home First Finance give, especially to people from informal sector. That is where they require support. They require somebody who understands their business, their cash flows, and is able to give them loans. And I think that's what HFFC is able to do. And I think we are getting into the right kind of stage where it can really take off. The launch pad is ready and really take off, with the government there, with the private sector coming in. And kudos to you guys for planning this interaction. I look forward to more interaction with other panelists. Over to you, Joyce.
Thank you so much, Mr. Batkul. So up next in our panel, we have Mr. Gautam Thacker. Mr. Thacker, who is the managing partner at One Earth Creators and is also the president at Naradco Neral Karjat Unit. Understanding and delivering the unspoken need of the home buyer has become his passion over the past 2 decades. Mr. Thacker, can you please tell us a little about yourself and the vision of your company, One Earth, which is purely into affordable housing? Mr. Thacker, we are unable to hear you.
Thank you, Joyce. Thank you for this opportunity. Good evening, everybody who is out here. My journey with real estate maybe began long before even I thought of joining real estate. So I didn't know, since childhood I loved engineering, but somehow I got into finance sector. I studied with Institute of Chartered Accountants of India. I completed my ATC, but in the meantime, I got a chance to get into real estate company, which was predominantly into development of affordable housing in the region of Thane, which is within MMR region. And I realized there that yes, this is where I belong to. And my own experience of buying my own house way back in 90s, the kind of emotions that I went through, and the kind of emotions that I could see in the eyes of people when they used to encounter my erstwhile chairman, it made me feel that okay, this is the segment that if this is a segment of being into development where you will not only get your worthy money also, but more importantly, it is the respect that people give, because that's where we felt the heart of the people is their first homes. Though my experience over this past 25 years is both with affordable as well as involvement was there also into luxury. With all this experience, I started a boutique firm with a core focus to provide value homes to people at an affordable cost. So our first maiden project that under brand One Earth we have started is approximately, it would be around a 300 unit odd project in terms of housing. It's at the new peripheral growth trajectory area of Neral Karjat region. Okay. And we are about to deliver the first phase of the buildings, and then the next to follow. And the vision is to deliver good quality homes to people, and the kind of thing that I personally experienced growing from a home to being a developer. I think I believe that people, if they have a good shelter over their homes without things to worry about, their life is fantastic. And I want to make more and more people experience that. That's the vision that our company follows. Thank you, Joyce.
Thank you so much, Mr. Thacker. We now have Mr. Rajneesh Italia. Mr. Italia, who is a partner at Rahi Group, which is one of the renowned developer groups in Surat in the affordable segment. Mr. Italia, since you have a very interesting story of your journey from a salaried professional to a successful developer, why don't you share your experience to our viewers?
Sure. First of all, good evening to all of you. And it's indeed feel honor and privilege to sit with you and discuss with you. Yes, I am a pharma background person and started my journey since 7 years. Before that, I have been marketed for medicine in multinational companies for 13 years. ये फील्ड में आने का एक ही रीज़न था, एज अर्लियर सेड, कि लोगों को हम घर देते हैं तो दे ब्लेस अस। उनके पीछे उनके काफ़ी रीजंस होते हैं। हमारे यहाँ गुजरात में तो ऐसा होता है कि अगर घर है तो लड़की देते हैं, तो हम उनको हेल्प करते हैं उनकी काफ़ी नीड जो फुलफिल करने में। उनमें ये जो CLSS और अफोर्डेबल जो NBFCs है, जो बैंक्स है, वो दैट हेल्प अस अ लॉट। So on that basis, we have been started our journey. We have also make a mark for 9,000 people to get their own house by March 2022, because at that time I think this CLS is going to be called off. तो उससे पहले हम भी, हमारा विजन है कि इतना हो जाए। So far 4,500 people got get their own house with CLSS benefit. ड्यू टू दिस कोरोना, अब देखते हैं कितने हम एक साल में मैक्सिमम लोगों को घर दे सकते हैं। सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट, बिकॉज वहाँ जो भी नीड है, लाइक लोगों को मतलब स्कूल नहीं है तो दैट ऑल्सो वी रन। तो जितने भी जरूरियात है उनके हिसाब से विल वर्क फॉर देम। तो दिस ऑल अबाउट मी एंड अवर राही ग्रुप, राही डेवलपर एट सूरत। थैंक यू।
Thank you so much, Mr. Italia. We now have Mr. Manoj Vishwanathan. Mr. Vishwanathan is with us, who is the MD and CEO of Home First. He is one of the founding members of Home First and has been instrumental in the transition of a startup to a publicly listed company. He has 2 decades of experience in the consumer lending space. Now I would request Mr. Vishwanathan to share his story.
Thank you, Joyce, and it's really a pleasure to be here and to get this opportunity to address all of you. Home First is a housing finance company in the affordable segment. We started this company 11 years ago. Home First was set up to provide home loans to middle-class customers who wanted to build or buy their first home. When it comes to any loan product, most middle-class customers go through their own individual journeys and struggles, and of various kinds. We wanted to make this journey easier for our customers. Technology plays a very important role in this, making this possible. We have adopted technology in all aspects of our journey, right from applying for the loan to disbursal, to collections and customer service. We now provide home loans to customers across 12 states in this country, and we have sanctioned more than 60,000 loans in our 11-year journey. So it's really a pleasure to be here, and looking forward to interact with all the other participants. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Vishwanathan. Our final panelist for the discussion is Professor Amarjeet Patpatia. Professor Amarjeet, who brings to the table his 13 years of experience with ICFI Business School, Mumbai. He is the Dean and Deputy Placement Coordinator at ICFI. Along with his experience as an international qualified corporate trainer, he also has a vast knowledge in sales and marketing sector. I would request Professor Amarjeet to share his story.
Thank you very much, Joyce. I think it's a pleasure and an honor to be invited into this forum, and I am come here to actually educate myself and to learn from these experts who are here from this sector. But I started my career in the corporate. I spent many years, 25 years plus, in variety of sectors: automobile, light engineering. I was in media. I was into office equipment and automobile ancillaries. So having spent all that time, I reached a stage where I wanted to do something different. And as luck would have it, one day my colleague who used to teach in a management college went on leave, and he said, "Are you interested to take a class on my behalf?" I said, "Okay, let me give it a try." And that's how this whole thing started, and my teaching career began. My teaching career is based on care for students, care to make them corporate ready, job ready, industry ready. I'm passionate about making those changes in them. I'm passionate more about the ones who really need the most. And my job in ICFI Business School is to focus on ensuring that the students get those skills and knowledge and they're prepared to take on responsibilities. I interact with the corporate, I understand what their needs are, and then I blend them along with the faculty to come up with something which will be useful, which will be of value to the organization. My focus is also to bring organizations to hire students, prepare them initially, and for your information, over the last so many years, we have been able to successfully place 95 to 98% students. And this has primarily been because we have identified what is required and what we should do beyond syllabus, beyond curriculum, and develop something which is industry focused, which companies will recognize and which will make students productive from as early as possible. So this is what I have been into, and as I mentioned that I am very passionate about corporate training. I've spent many years, and again focusing on that change is possible, change is there, provided we can create that curiosity and interest among the students or among anybody else. And I think that's where the challenge comes, to create that environment where the person becomes a learner and person then maybe transforms in the long run. So I am very grateful to the organizers for inviting me, and I look forward for the rest of the sessions to interact. Thank you very much, Joyce.
Thank you so much, Professor. I would like to thank all the panelists for introducing themselves. I'm sure our viewers must be anxious to hear from our lineup of experts for this session. So, without any further ado, let's get the discussion started from the viewpoint of a housing industry expert. So, Mr. Batkul, since you have worked on both sides of the housing industry, that is the luxury and the affordable segment, how do you think the challenges of the affordable housing industry differ from the luxury segment? And how does it impact your marketing and sales strategy?
That's an interesting question, Joyce. Uh, the first thing which comes to my mind is the budgets. In affordable segment, we have to work really on tighter budgets, because end of the day, the affordability is important, and hence we have to optimize our spends. I think that's first. The second part is that ensuring that we have the right finance partner is very, very critical. As I already mentioned, in the affordable segment, we get customers from informal sector, and somebody needs to understand their business cash flows, the way they work, and that's something which is very, very critical for any developer to be in that space. The third is the planning of the projects. I have seen that a lot of developers have gone overboard and planned certain amenities which will be very, very expensive to be maintained by this audience. So it's very important that you have to work on that thin line of ensuring that you provide the basics, the provide them what is really required, and not unnecessarily kind of put your energy and money into amenities which are difficult to be maintained. And the last thing which I would say is the experience, the communication. I think that's where a lot of developers have to kind of learn to communicate in the way the audience is able to understand, and the experience at the side. Sometimes it can be too overwhelming for such an audience, so you have to ensure that they are comfortable. They obviously, for any segment, be it luxury or affordable, it's important that the audience, the customer, is able to take an informed decision. And hence, for any audience, you need to ensure that the customer is aware about all the details, aware about what are the fine prints. And I think that's where RERA has really helped for them. It's quite structured, and I believe things are getting quite better from that perspective.
So, Mr. Thacker, as Mr. Batkul has mentioned, the challenges that the affordable housing segment has faced, what would be your take on them? And more importantly, what are the possible solutions that the apex national body for real estate industry like NAREDCO would like to contribute with?
Thank you, Joyce. A nice insight given by Abhishek. I would like to elaborate a little more onto the challenges that's been faced by this affordable segment. it's a humongous task that the government of India is trying to achieve, and it's really a fabulous task that needs to be achieved. I was just going through some numbers, and I must tell you, by 2012, the shortage of housing was around 29 million. It was 18.78 million, which has grown by 54% in the span of 6 years to 29 million. This itself says the scale and the demand that's been added up to this segment year on year. Forget about the past that's happening. So we need to understand why this segment was not been taken over as a core business by most of the developers. So most importantly, when you want to develop affordable housing, the cost is the biggest challenge. Real estate, as you all know, is an industry which is very heavy on capital requirement, and so cost of finance being one of them. And if the investment goes very heavy on the land, or the cost of the land is very high, and most of this, let me tell you, most of these deficits are in the urban areas. So we all understand that developed areas in the urban region, the land cost is very high, and then obviously the construction cost, which also tend to keep growing. And in post COVID, the scenario is such that more than 25 we have witnessed more than 25% growth in terms of cost of construction. So that itself takes away the entire sheen. So the project which was viable when you took over, the project becomes non-viable within a span of 1.5 years, even before you have completed. And so most of the guys are unable to complete the projects. Now, how do you overcome those challenges? So government of India has also realized, and I'll mix match both the questions. So government of India has also realized, and NAREDCO being formed under the aegis of government of India, our current pattern is our Union Housing Minister Sri Hardeep Singh Puri ji, and this is kind of a semi-government body. And our role we have taken to help feed government of India with information and the practical difficulties and challenges, and become a bridge between the developers who intend to partner, and we intend to partner seriously with government of India in achieving our prime minister's dream of having housing for all by 2022. Now, so this was the major challenge that any real estate developer who would like to go for affordable housing would face, because they have to work with a paper thin margin. And the biggest challenge that could be overcome economically by large scale selling, but that doesn't happen. As we all know, being into housing finance industry, or even funded housing industry, that most of the buyers of this kind of an housing. So I'm not talking about affordable in a larger spectrum. I'm focused on affordable, how it is perceived. It is for the low income group. The the topic why we have taken up low income group, middle income group, and EWS. Correct. Affordable again is a different definition. We can go ahead, but I'll not touch upon that topic as of now. But I understand that we are talking about affordability to low income group, LIG, MIG, and EWS. So the first thing that could happen is I was charmed by the plans that the cities had made. Like Delhi is NCR, similar is Mumbai with Mumbai metropolitan region, similar is Kolkata, similar is other cities like Chennai or even Bangalore today or Pune today. So they have taken into their fold the outskirts or the peripheral areas of the main city, and they had planned that with the growth of the population, they needed to develop this region. Now, bigger challenge. So it could be good to go little outskirt, develop a nicely quality constructed homes where which people could really call a home. They need not move out from a shanty or so-called from a kacha ghar to a ghar which is already falling apart. So in the name of low cost. So we believe that affordable is something which is done with quality. At least basic amenities should be there. Obviously, added up amenities and all could be depending on LIG, MIG, or yes, EWS whom you are catering. But unfortunately, most of the buyers, they come from unorganized sector, or the buyers are, I have personally experienced buyers are not even aware about their own, how their credit history is going to work in favor or non-favor of getting a loans. And home loans are becoming difficult. Added to that is selecting those underdeveloped area or upcoming areas is a challenge by most of the people because they feel transportation is a bigger issue, traveling from there to the mainstream city or there to workplace, because again, we all are a developing nation and we face challenges in terms of resources to be utilized towards all these areas. So government also gets to develop certain infrastructure development happens post people have already inhabited it. So it's not really that planned as of now. So this is another challenge which causes offtake of affordable housing, the scale of offtake of affordable housing. So again, it though it is an affordable housing, it still acts as a commercial real estate development from a developer's perspective or from market operating perspective. Government of India has done some incentivize in a way by giving exemption under Section 80IB, or even declared or recognized development under affordable housing as an infrastructural development rather than a commercial housing. This thing. And there are like for affordable home buyers, there is a reduced GST rates of 1%. So these are certain incentives, and obviously CLSS, and even now government has come up with PMAY Urban, where CLSS is one part of it. There are development by the local authorities or the state governments through their machineries in public capacity. Plus, they have also invited developers to participate as a joint public and private partnership by way of some incentives. These are many schemes. Government is really serious about this particular challenge and an issue, so they have taken this very seriously. So there are a lot of this thing. Now coming back to the solutions that I was suggesting, and that's where even Naredco would play a very big role. There is another challenge is the scale of construction that this kind of an housing requires. So there were numbers, double 1.2, so 113.06 lakh homes were sanctioned. This is the latest number under PMOI. 11, so 86.92 lakhs were grounded, and completed delivery is 50.29 lakhs homes. And Government of India has already disbursed a sum of 11,748 crores for the benefit of these houses. These are humongous number. So to construct this kind of a number, again, you need skilled laborers. Labor force is there in India. There is, we know that even there are issues of unemployment or whatever, but we need labor force which is skilled to completely help us complete this development of this scale of housing needs. So, and yes, obviously, so that the cost of labor is also rationalized. Now, these are the issues, and there would be the solutions that I was thinking in my mind long back when affordability was a question. I always believed, why not we as developers through our associations, partner with the local authorities and the government at whatever level, so that we plan along with them the kind of development and the locations of development that could happen, so that government is not burdened by infrastructure development issues and mobilization of funds if the developments are haywire, scattered. So certain areas could be developed, and instead of trying to develop within the city an affordable housing where again we compromise on quality, we compromise on decent sizes of the house or amenities, or even with basic infrastructure, we completely exploit the master plan of the metropolitan regions, or rather we encourage the development of peripheral region with really good infrastructure for commuting. This would be the one solution which will not only create good quality and number of homes for LIG, MIG, and other class of people, but even affordability would be for upper middle class and other segment of people, because the movement is opened up across. Automatically, the price buoyancy and availability of stock should be so. Given a choice, I am developing in Neral and Kachar. Given a choice, if I want to leave my home, if Neral Kachar really offers that kind of infrastructure which I'm enjoying here in the center of a developed city, I would prefer to go and stay there. It's such a serene and nice place. But because of certain limitations which surrounds my way of living and my life here. It's a challenging task to take a decision. So same is being faced by other consumers. So this is one thing which can be taken care of. With regard to CLSS, it's a beautiful scheme. The benefit is directly coming to the people. And this takes care if we, in my mind, there was one suggestion that I was thinking to pass on to the people. And through association also we communicate, which will take care of two issues. So one is most of the housing, I was not sure about what is the rate of interest, but most of the housing finance companies which have come up and who fund affordable housing segment, this segment of people, they find a challenge of sanctioning the home loans because of the credibility of the people. Because coming from unorganized sector, there are always issues of, like I said, about credibility or understanding their own financial health, plus paperwork, obviously. So most of the time, I have, in my experience, ended up seeing that most of these guys are being approached, or they get a sanction from institutions which charge a 13-14% or maybe at times 15% rate of interest. That simply becomes unaffordable. That simply takes away the entire sheen or the benefit which government of India had passed to people. So the intent is completely reversed. So I was thinking, why not? I understand from institute's perspective also that okay, if the creditability is an issue, there could be bad loans. So instead of that, why not, instead of passing on this 2 lakh rupees or 2.5 lakh rupees directly as an interest subsidy, it will serve a dual purpose. If some kind of an insurance plan is bought out for this kind of an home loans, where if such home loans becomes bad, institute is covered through these insurances. So automatically they reduce the rate of interest for them. So affordability comes to them, and simultaneously the institutes are also protected, so they go out all out to kind of fund people, and automatically the demand picks up, and so the dream is there to be achieved. Third thing is infrastructure status. Though infrastructure status has been given, I believe the awareness of that into the institutions, or probably the directives of that to the institutions, is lagging. I find, I mean, these are so far off the records. I will not name anybody. I've met institutions, and I find people saying, I myself have approached for construction finance. We need cheaper finance to construct. As I said, cost of money and cost of construction would really matter. It could be like do or die kind of a situation. In such situations, when we approach and we show that notification, and people are unaware, and they show us RBI's restriction on being cautious. So cautious is kind of a restriction for funding real estate. I think there should be more sensitivity, more awareness, and more coordination between government of India through us, uh, through direct ministry, and IBA or whatever, so that this particular thing could be, uh, it should be used as it was given when the intent results should come. That's what I believe. I mean, that's all from my side. I think these three things, if taken care of, it would really work wonderful. There is one out of the box idea that I was thinking, all affordable. So government, if they come up with a plan in the upcoming areas of the cities are outgrowing, upcoming areas, if they plan that the workplaces would be close to the affordable housing, which will take care of EWS, middle income, and LIG. Like Britishers had planned, east side of Mumbai was industrial, commercial, go downs and factories and all, and the west side was always the residential of this thing. So along with the industrial zones, and they created housing for their large scale employees, and so everybody was happy in their sector. So even if today it is planned with nice infrastructure, where employer who are upper middle class or other class of people could travel to their work in a nice affordable, or I can say even kind of a posh travel plans, and these guys need not travel, because travel also is a cost in the city. So fantastic thing would be if the work places are planned, and surrounding them without traveling much traveling distances, if the LIG, MIG, these things are planned. And obviously people who could afford traveling, nice infrastructure, they could stay a little away. So this way, a larger mass is close to the work, a smaller mass is away from the work who needs to travel. So even infrastructure burden, the cost of developing a huge infrastructure burden is less on the government. This would be my suggestion to help achieve this entire goal in a more happier way. That's all from my side. Thank you.
There surely are very interesting inputs coming in, Mr. Thacker. Some great ideas. So along with the efforts being put in by the private sector, as you rightly said, we also see a number of schemes that are introduced by the government as well. So let's take a look at one of the biggest schemes launched by them, that is the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana CLSS scheme that we've been talking about from our very own developer from Surat. So, Mr. Italia, being a real estate developer who has built more than 4,500 homes in Surat and you have 5,000 more in the pipeline, what is your take on CLSS? आपके इस जर्नी में CLSS का क्या योगदान रहा है?
Yes, ma'am. CLSS is, as rightly said, is boon for all of us, and it's a win-win-win situation for all. ऐसा नहीं कि कस्टमर को इसका बेनिफिट होता है. That is benefited to us only by increasing the sale. That is benefit to bank also to reduce bad loans, because कि जैसे ही CLSS apply होता है within 6 or 8 months or 12 months, that amount going to be credited directly to the account. So and that time around 2,500 or so जो EMIs है, that has been going to be reduced. तो उससे जो डिफरेंस है रेट ऑफ इंटरेस्ट का, जो NBFCs और गवर्नमेंट बैंक का, दैट इज वेरी बिकम क्लोजर. उसे ज्यादा अंतर नहीं रहता है, तो उससे लॉन्स खराब भी नहीं होता है और कस्टमर को इजी हो जाता है. उनको जो करना है, EMIs भरना है, तो इजी हो जाता है. तो उससे हमें भी बूस्टअप मिलता है, बिकॉज ऑन दैट बेसिस ऑल्सो वी सेल दिस 4,500 हाउसेस टिल डेट. और हम जो इनके ऊपर काम करते हैं, उनको हम अभी जो रहते हैं वो रेंट भरते हैं, तो वो रेंट के हिसाब से हम उनको कैलकुलेशन समझाते हैं. क्योंकि अगर हर महीना 3,000 रेंट भरते हैं, 12 महीने का 36,000 होता है, तो ईयर ऑन ईयर अगर कोई ऑनर 300 रुपया हर सालाना बढ़ाता है, तो बाय एंड ऑफ 20 ईयर्स वो सिर्फ और सिर्फ 16,92,000 तो सिर्फ रेंट ही भर देता है. दैट इज नॉन रिफंडेबल, वो गया. उसके सामने हम बताते हैं कि अगर तुम घर लेंगे, सब्सिडी आएगी, वो सब कैलकुलेट करके 20 साल अगर EMI भरते हो, तो 14,53,350 रुपये में घर भी पाओगे और उतने में आप ऑनर भी बन जाओगे घर के. तो ये सब कैलकुलेशन दिखा के उनके जो डिसीजन है वो इजी हो जाता है टू बाय द हाउस. और जो प्रकार की प्रोफाइल है, उनमें से जो NBFCs है जो हम काम करते हैं सूरत में, तो दे आर वेरी कोऑपरेटिव. इतने मतलब सर्विसेज भी अच्छी रहती है, हेजल फ्री लोन होता है, कोई भी टाइप का हो तो यहाँ काम हो जाता है. सो दैट बूस्ट ऑफ द सेलिंग, जो लोगों का ड्रीम्स कम ट्रू, ये CLSS EMI स्कीम से बहुत लोगों का हुआ है. और वी आर प्लानिंग कि बाय मार्च 22 हम एटलीस्ट 6,000 तो क्रॉस कर ही देंगे. अगर ये कोरोना नहीं होता तो वुड रीच 9,000 हाउसेस बाय एंड ऑफ मार्च 2022. लेकिन अभी 2 साल जो गया, वो उसका भरपाई अगर एक्सटेंड होती है स्कीम, तो डेफिनेटली द रेस्ट ऑफ पीपल कैन गेट द बेनिफिट ऑफ दैट CLSS. तो इस हिसाब से यहाँ जो है वो इट इज इंडीड वर्क वेल. कोई भी सिचुएशन है, यहाँ कोई तकलीफ नहीं आई है, उतनी नहीं आई है हमारे सेलिंग में. सो दिस इज ऑल अबाउट CLSS. और वुड रिक्वेस्ट कि अगर एक्सटेंड होता है तो दैट वुड बी हाउसिंग फॉर ऑल. जो अभी भी बचे हुए हैं, दे आल्सो कैन गेट देयर ओन.
Very true. Thank you so much, Mr. Italia. I would now like to direct my next question to Mr. Vishwanathan, who is the MD and CEO of Home First. We have looked at the challenges and solutions at the developer level in the affordable space. Housing finance being a related product, do you face a similar set of challenges or is it any different? And what has been the impact of the development of housing finance industry on the affordable segment?
Thank you, Joyce, and it's this is a very interesting question and very close to our heart. And I should say that our journey at Home First also began. Or my journey as in this company also began as a developer only, right? So my first task, I used to work before Home First. I used to work at a construction company where my task was to sell apartments and get it financed, right? And all those struggles and all those you can say learnings in the early days has gone into some of the processes that we have created here, some of the products that we have created here. So in that sense, I would say the challenges that developers face, as well as the challenges that affordable housing finance companies face, it kind of combines and merges somewhere. Ultimately, it boils down to understanding and appreciating the needs of the customer segment, this customer segment better, right? You cannot apply the same rules that you are applying to a luxury segment in this segment. I think that is the biggest learning that we have. I think Mr. Bhatkul also mentioned that when it comes to amenities, etc., you need to be very functional in your approach. You have to provide certain basics to this customer segment. The luxuries can come later. It's important to provide high quality basic amenities, right? And the quality of construction and so on and so forth, and so that people don't confuse affordable with low quality, etc. And Mr. Thacker also mentioned that, his passion is to basically make sure that customers are enjoying the property, which they are purchasing. This is really the crux or the essence of the whole thing. We should not be, we should not basically misunderstand this customer. I mean, these are customers in many ways. These customers, they may be having moderate income, but when it comes to many things in life, they are probably more well informed, they're more empowered, they're more educated than even probably customers from the luxury segment, right? Especially when it comes to things like technology, things like digital adoption. So these are the new age customers who are probably using Netflix, they are using Amazon, they are using WhatsApp, or Dunzo. So you have to recognize that, it is a, technology savvy customer. He may be having lower income, but he's not a, an uneducated kind of a customer. So all this, I think, has to be kept in mind when we are providing products to them. It's important to cater to this aspect of this customer segment. So, for example, at Home First, we have even though we are catering to this segment, we have a full feature mobile app which customers can use. They can check the status of their loan. They can check the status of multiple disbursals, their installments, and probably one of the few apps where actually they can even prepay the loan. So because we think that in this segment, it is important for customers to reduce their loan burden over a period of time. Ultimately, they are purchasing a house. They are not purchasing a loan. They don't want to own a loan. They want to own a house. We have to keep that in mind. It's important to help the customer to reduce this loan burden over a period of time, and which is why we provide this feature of prepaying the loan. I think I think your question was how does where does this come together, the developers challenges as well as the financial challenges. So I think ultimately it boils down to understanding the customer segment better, and providing the products and processes that matter to this segment. You know Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vishwanathan. I would like to now direct my final question to Professor Amarji. So, Professor, what is the outlook of educational institutes like IBS towards the growth in the real estate industry and the future requirement of skilled human resources in the real estate sphere of India, especially the affordable housing industry?
In one word, is phenomenal. And if I have to, share with you in terms of recently we introduced a certification program masterclass 20 hours based on looking at the sector and what its potential is and where it can go in future. We introduced this for the first time. And in this 20 hours curriculum, we requested the industry experts to share what all we should include as topics. And very kind enough, many came forward and we developed this curriculum. And the curriculum was actually delivered by industry experts. And this clearly brought out the focus, what we believe as an educational institute, what students should be getting prepared. Students at this stage only think of there is a project and they have to go and sell a flat. And there is this selling process and you got channel partners and the works. We believe that they must get a much bigger picture. They belong to an industry in which it is just not going to be one role, but it is going to be multiple roles. But they need to get this full picture. And they should become passionate about getting there and making a career. Real estate for our students must be the first choice, not one of the options. And that is what motivated us to develop this certification program. We got 50 plus students who said, yes, we want to get into this place. We want to get exposure right in the beginning. And the objective was familiarization. And we picked up topics which were very relevant. Overview, we got RERA, we got sales and marketing, customer centricity as one of the very key issues, housing finance and the entire gamut about it, digital marketing, because today, as Mr. Vishwanathan said, whether a person can write or not write, he is a digital savvy. He can read on the mobile. He may not be able to write. So it's important today to reach out to those customers through digital platform, and especially when we are talking about affordable housing. And chances are that it will be into tier 2, tier 3 cities. It is also our job in the institute to sensitize students where the growth lies. They would like perhaps as a first choice to work in metros, but we are influencing them, convincing them the growth, the future lies there. And that's where I think we can partner. Just like we have taken inputs to begin this certification and we would like to continue this more, as we go along, I really will welcome more inputs from all of you as to how we can design a curriculum which can excite the students. See, many of them are quite comfortable joining BFSI, insurance, FMCG. Now, these are the favorites which students, when they are passing out, would want to join. And it is what we are doing to open up their vision and look at the growth where future lies and get out of your comfort zone and explore these. So this is what we have done at our end. And apart from, of course, the curriculum and syllabus that is there, we are always providing a lot of inputs, getting experts to come and take sessions. We conduct webinars. And I think for the sector that we are talking about, finance students, and I believe the costs, I believe the margins, trying to balance both of them could be very crucial. These professionally qualified students can play an important role, can contribute towards ensuring that things go well. Professionally qualified marketing students, where today you need to be talking to customers, influencing them. Service becomes a key factor. We believe service is a differentiator. Many can, technology you can copy, product you can copy, price you can copy. What happens to service? So service is the human part. And that is where we also spent a lot of time training and developing the students to get sensitized. And as you're aware, we do a 14-week summer internship where they go out between the first year and second year gap, and they get a feel of what the industry is, what the corporates require, and then we take it forward. But I'm very happy to inform you that we work closely with real estate sector. We get companies to come and hire students. They are working there. Many of them are continuing to work for a long time. and it gives us great delight that they have now at least decided that what mindset they had before and what they see today is really different, and we invite them to talk to the students, because I truly believe, and this is on behalf of the institute, real estate is a great future. Perhaps the knowledge level among students, because ultimately they are at a different level, we need to create more awareness and give them a much bigger picture, the career options which are available. And so before concluding, yeah, we would like to really look forward to more kind of support and inputs, so that we have finished one masterclass certification program. We will be very keen to take it another session, and if there are any additional things that you believe we should take into account, we'll be very, very happy to do that. Thank you very much for this opportunity. I'm so happy. Thank you. Thank you. Back to this.
Thank you so much, Professor. So, since we are short of time and we would like to end this discussion in the next 5 minutes, I would like to summarize this discussion for all our participants. Now, while discussing the role of private sector in affordable housing, we have looked at the challenges of affordable housing and how the private sector contributes in providing solutions to those challenges. We have also looked at the role of government and how schemes like CLSS have helped in the vision of providing affordable housing to all. We have also seen how the housing finance sector has been instrumental in the growth of affordable housing. After looking at all these perspectives, we have tried to throw light on a very different angle, describing how the education sector can also contribute and play an important role in the affordable housing and real estate sector as a whole. I would want to take this opportunity to thank all our panelists for joining us today and sharing your valuable insights. And I would like to end this workshop by showing you a small video clip on what our affordable segment customers have to say about Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. Thank you.
माझं नाव सुरेश धमराजी लांजेवार ब्लडला राहतो मी. त्याच्याबादमध्ये मी नागपूरला आलो. मी बहुत परेशानीमध्ये होतो. ते भाऊ आले माझ्याकडे. त्यांना विचारला तुम्हाला लोन पाहिजे का म्हणे. तर मी म्हणलो हो भाऊ मला लोन पाहिजे. 8 लाखाचा लोन सँक्शन केला. मी पहिले स्टार्टिंग 2 लाख रुपये दिला, मग 1 लाख रुपये दिला, 60,000 दिला, असे पैसे देत तसे तिकडून पैसे आले. स्टेट बाय स्टेट काम करत होतो. आता इन्स्टॉलमेंट मला 8,000 काही रुपये येत होती. मला झपत नव्हतं. प्रधानमंत्री योजनेतून आपल्याला साथ भेटला. 2,67,282 रुपयाची सबसिडी भेटली. आज त्या धन्यवाद मी मानतो का जेवढे बी लोकांना आपल्याला लोन भेटले उचललं असतील त्या लोकांना आज विचारायला सबसिडी भेटली. आज मकान झालं. सर्व पोराबाराच्या त्याच्या शिक्षण आहे, सर्व आहे. कसा का करत असतील बा. आज आपल्याला 8,000 पावणे 9,000 रुपये किस्त येत होती. त्याच्या बादमध्ये बी आपण आता 5,000 काही रुपये येऊन राहिली. आपलीवाली तेवढी कमी होऊन झालं. कमी झाल्याच्या बादमध्ये आपल्याला एवढा आनंद वाटला तर बहुतच चांगलं वाटलं.
मेरा नाम सौरभ संगई और ये मेरी मम्मी हर्षा संगई. हम नागपुर में रहते हैं, भाई और पापा. पहला एक छोटा सा घर था मेरा, सिर्फ एक बेडरूम हॉल और छोटा सा किचन है.
2 लड़के हैं मुझे. अब शादी करनी है लड़के की तो उसके लिए बेडरूम बनाने का था.
तो हमने फर्स्ट फ्लोर कंस्ट्रक्ट करने का सोचा. कंस्ट्रक्ट करेंगे, आधा प्लास्टर करके छोड़ देंगे. लेकिन जब होम फर्स्ट का साथ मिला उसके बाद हमने डिसाइड किया कि पूरा घर फिनिशिंग कर. होम फर्स्ट का जो लोन डॉक्यूमेंटेशन या फिर लोन प्रोवाइड करने का जो प्रोसीजर है सिंपल है और वहाँ के जो स्टाफ है कोऑपरेट करते हैं, अच्छे से समझाते हैं. जो पैसे प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना में बचा है, अभी थोड़ा घर का काम बाकी है, हम वहाँ पे वो अप्लाई करेंगे.
रकम अगर अपने खाते में सब्सिडी आ रही है तो खुशी की तो बात है.
कैसे बनाए, पैसा हो तो बनाए. बच्चे बड़े होंगे तो उनके एजुकेशन में पैसा लगेगा, तो भविष्य में हम कभी घर बना पाएंगे कि नहीं, ये भी एक समस्या थी. कभी भी कोई रेंटल मकान में खाली करने को बोल सकता, मैं अपनी फैमिली लेके कहाँ जाऊँ। तो हमारा भी एक सपना था कि मेरा घर बन जाए, बट सपना पूरा ही नहीं हो रहा था। मैं प्लाट को रजिस्ट्री लेके घूम रहा था सभी बैंकों में, तो दुनिया वो डॉक्यूमेंट जो उनकी रिक्वायरमेंट थी वो मैं पूरी कर नहीं पा रहा। कोई बैंक सपोर्ट नहीं कर रही थी। मेरी सोसाइटी में जहाँ मैं रहता हूँ वहाँ पे एक मेरा फ्रेंड मिला, उसने बोला आप निश्चिंत रहिए, मैं आपका लोन करवा देता हूँ। तो उसने मुझे होम फास्ट फाइनेंस तक पहुँचाया और मेरा लोन इजीली विदिन 15 डेज मेरे अकाउंट में पैसा आ गया और फिर मैंने स्पीड से काम किया। तो वो बोलते थे कि भाई आप मोबाइल में अपना फ़ोटो खींच के घर के सामने खड़ा होके आपका स्लैब हो गया, ये स्टेप हो गया, आप फ़ोटो भेजते जाइए, हम करते जाते हैं। पैसा आता गया और वर्क चलता गया, तो मुझे कहीं प्रॉब्लम ही नहीं है, मेरा घर बन गया। और मैं पूरी टीम होम फास्ट फाइनेंस की टीम को धन्यवाद बोलूँगा। उन्होंने बहुत कोऑपरेट किया। 4 महीनों में ये पॉसिबल हो पाया, जबकि मैं 4 साल से ज़्यादा चक्कर लगा रहा था। फिर मैंने सोचा घर तो बन गया, इसका EMI अभी 9-10 हज़ार रुपये आएगा। तो सब्सिडी का इन्होंने बोला है होम फास्ट फाइनेंस वालों ने। तो 3 दिन में मुझे मैसेज आ गया मोबाइल में कि चंद्रशेखर कांग्रेचुलेशन योर सब्सिडी वी रिसीव। तो मुझे तो बड़ी खुशी हुई साहब। मेरा EMI जो आया है वो विद सब्सिडी ही आया है। प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना की सब्सिडी से कि मेरा लोन अमाउंट कम हुआ, अब मुझ में हिम्मत आ गई, मुझ में कॉन्फिडेंस आ गया कि मैं आगे उसको जल्दी जल्दी लोन को क्लियर करूं और फिर होम फास्ट फाइनेंस से फिर लोन मांगूं कि भाई अब मुझे ऊपर बनाना है। मेरे फ्रेंड सर्कल को भी ताजुब हुआ, उनको ये नहीं मालूम कि ये कैसे किया, मुझे मालूम है कि होम फास्ट फाइनेंस ने मुझे लोन दिया तो मेरा मकान बन गया।
मेरा नाम प्रकाश पिठड़िया है और मैं गांव से जब बम्बई में आया था तो मेरा एक सपना था कि मैं एक अपना घर लूँ। तो वो घर मेरा ये प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना की वजह से आज सपना पूरा हुआ। मेरा बिजनेस लेडीज टेलर का है। हम लोग बम्बई में आए, वहाँ पे अकाल पड़ रहा था, पानी की समस्या बहुत थी। बिल्डर मेरा कस्टमर था, उसने मेरे को ये घर बताया, उसने साइट दिखाई। साइट देखने के बाद मेरे को बोला कि ये ले लो मकान, तो मैंने ले लिया। मगर मैंने उसको बोला मेरे पास पैसे नहीं है। वो मेरा दोस्त था और होम फाइनेंस कंपनी से उन्होंने भी लोन दिलवाया। होम फर्स्ट कंपनी ने मेरे को बताया कि ये प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना के बारे में। अगर स्कीम ऐसा है ना कि 6 लाख के ऊपर अपना लोन का अमाउंट बाकी रहता है तो प्रधानमंत्री की आवास योजना की तरफ से अपने को 2 लाख के ऊपर वो लोग सब्सिडी आते हैं। बाकी मुझे कुछ मालूम ही नहीं था इस योजना के बारे में। उसके बाद वो फॉर्म वगैरह भर के कंप्लीट हो गया और मेरा 2-3 महीने में मेरा 2,15,000 का सब्सिडी हो गई।
हमने एक सपना देखा है कि जब आजादी के 75 साल हो तब हिंदुस्तान के गरीब को भी अपना घर हो।
मेरा नाम सुकांता कुमार साहू है। मैं उड़ीसा से आया हूँ। 2006 में मुंबई आया। मैं एक BPO में काम कर रहा हूँ एज ए क्वालिटी एनालिस्ट। 10 ईयर वहाँ पे भी हो गया मुझे काम करते हुए। और क्योंकि मैं ये रेंटेड में यहाँ पे रह रहा हूँ तो मैं सोचा कि एक घर भी लूँ। तो एक्चुअली सैलरी इतना नहीं था कि मैं एक फ्लैट ले सकूँ, तो 10 साल तक अभी तक ले नहीं पाया मैं। तो मेरे एक फ्रेंड थे, उसका एक बिल्डर पहचान था, वहाँ पे मुझे लिया, दिखाया और जगह भी अच्छा लगा। तो मैं सोच रहा था अभी लोन नहीं होगा तो घर कैसा होगा, अब इतना तो कैश में दे नहीं पाएगा। 2-4 बैंक से पूछा था, HFFC से लोन चालू है मेरा। ये जो प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना है ना, मैं देखा कि रेलवे स्टेशन में ये सब होर्डिंग लगा रहता है कि प्रधानमंत्री आवास योजना में 2,20,000 मिलेगा और वो लोग पेपर में भी लिख के बांटते। मुझे बहुत खुशी हुई कि ऐसा हम लोग पुअर है, मतलब इनकम बहुत कम है, अगर ऐसे कुछ हेल्प मिल जाता है तो बहुत अच्छी बात है, बहुत खुशी लगी। तो मैं बैंक को कॉल किया कि ऐसा स्कीम है तो मेरे लिए भी मिल सकता है क्या। तो बैंक ने मुझे बोला कि आपको एक पेपर में सिग्नेचर करना पड़ेगा। तो वो साइन करके लिए मेरा एप्लीकेशन फॉरवर्ड किए, लेकिन बाद में बैंक से कॉल आया, मेरा नाम सिलेक्ट हो गया। तो बहुत खुशी लगा कि एटलीस्ट कुछ तो मिला, तो EMI में थोड़ा कम होगा, अच्छा लगा। मेरा एक टेंशन भी थोड़ा कम हुआ। क्या टेंशन है कि हम लोगों का जॉब जो है ना वो सिक्योरिटी नहीं है, आज है कल नहीं है, तो ये टेंशन रहता है। तो जब EMI कम हुआ तो मैं अगर जॉब जाएगा मेरा, दूसरा जॉब ढूंढूंगा, कम पगार मिलेगा तो भी मैं मैनेज कर पाऊंगा क्योंकि EMI थोड़ा कम हुआ है। वो एक रिलैक्स रिलैक्सेशन मिला मुझे, ये एक फ़ायदा, बहुत बड़ा फ़ायदा है।
मेरा नाम मिसेस अर्चना लंगोटे है और मैं एक स्कूल टीचर हूँ। मुझे घर लेना था, मैं इस काबिल बनी, मैंने जॉब किया। मेरी सैलरी 8,000 से 10,000, 10,000 से 12,000, 15,000, मैं हर साल लगी रही सर, लेकिन हर साल रिजेक्ट हो जाता था। लेकिन ये पहला बैंक है जहाँ मैंने अप्लाई किया और मुझे इतने अच्छे से हाथों हाथ लिया इन्होंने कि मुझे पता ही नहीं चला। जिस दिन मेरा लोन सैंक्शन हुआ ना, उस दिन मुझे लगा कि मैंने कुछ किया है। नाउ आई हैव अचीव्ड। ये सपने में नहीं सोचा था कि मैं अपनी छत बनाऊंगी, क्योंकि ये मैं मेरे घर के लिए कर रही थी, मेरे अस्तित्व के लिए किया मैंने ये। और ये जो मेरा वाली फीलिंग है ना, वो कभी नहीं आई लाइफ में इससे पहले। ये मेरा घर, ये मेरी छत है, मुझे यहाँ से कोई आगे रात को नहीं बोलेगा कि तुम निकलो यहाँ से। होम फर्स्ट फाइनेंस कंपनी ने मुझे मेरा अपना घर दिया है। तहे दिल से उनका शुक्रिया अदा करती हूँ, उनके कोऑपरेशन का, उनकी पूरी टीम का। बहुत अच्छे से इन्होंने हैंडल किया है और समझा है मुझे, मेरी परिस्थितियों को, इसकी मैं बहुत शुक्रगुजार हूँ।
Affordable rental housing complexes, an initiative of Government of India under Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban. COVID-19 forced a large-scale reverse migration of urban migrants and poor who stay in slums, unauthorized colonies and in peri-urban areas to cut down on their rental cost. Non-availability of housing close to workplace adversely impacts their productivity. In line with the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat and for providing ease of living to urban migrants and poor, ARHCs have been initiated by Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. The target beneficiaries of ARHCs will be migrants from economically weaker section and lower income group categories, laborers, street vendors, rickshaw pullers, migrants working in market and trade associations, manufacturing units and hospitality sector, students, long-term tourists and visitors, industrial workers, and those working in educational and health institutions, etc. ARHCs will be implemented in all statutory towns, notified planning areas, development authorities, special area development authorities, industrial development authorities, and any other areas as notified by a state government or union territory. ARHC's projects will be considered for approval till the mission period of Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana Urban, that is March 2022. Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs will apply a two-pronged approach to roll out ARHCs in the most effective way. In Model 1, existing government-funded vacant houses will be utilized by converting them into ARHCs through public-private partnership. In Model 2, public-private entities will construct, operate and maintain ARHCs on their own vacant land for a period of 25 years. Incentives and benefits will be given for operating ARHCs, while the central government will provide concessional project finance, exemption in income tax and GST, and technology innovation grant. States and union territories will provide use permission changes, 50% additional FAR FSI, free of cost, single window approval within 30 days, trunk infrastructure up to project site, and municipal charges at par with residential property. ARHCs will bring a much needed relief to a large section of intended beneficiaries and promote cooperative federalism. The initiative will prove to be a win-win-win for all.